I'm going to stir my tea now, so I don't have to do it during the podcast to make a noise.
Why not?
Because Nadia made this tea, and she is notorious around these parts for not stirring in the sugar.
Jesus.
Because she doesn't have sugar in her tea. I get it. I understand. She doesn't understand.
I don't know, Dan. You're not married. You've not got a mortgage together or anything. Walk away. You know?
No, I'm remembering a song that I can't remember. You know how you had that rooftop shouting out, ready to go, whatever it is?
Yeah.
I'm hearing a song that goes, I'm walking away.
That, my friend, is Craig David.
Is that a Craig David song?
It is. From all the troubles in my life,
Yeah,
I'm walking away.
Yeah. What have I got that? What's this? Here it is. Oh my god. Very good. You know what? That is a tune.
There was I think there's a Franz Ferdinand song called Walk Away as well, isn't there?
There might be. That's not the one I was thinking of, but yes, there might be.
Anywho.
Yeah. Should we do a podcast?
Yeah, shall we? What is this? Is this you slap this on the beginning? Should we say roll the titles?
I mean, we can try that. I don't know if I'll actually keep it at the beginning, but we'll do that anyway in case I choose to. Roll the titles.
Roll the damn titles.
There we go. Hello and welcome to Analysing Avatar. It's Dan here, and as always, I am joined by the last Airbender, the late Airbender himself, Chris Billingham. Give it up for Chris, everyone. Woo. He's watching the show, and we love him for it.
Let's go. Thanks, guys. Watching one 22-minute episode roughly once a week. It's hard. I deserve the applause.
Mm-hmm.
I deserve the applause.
You do. It's a lot of work. Chris puts all the work into this.
Yeah.
He sort of gets all the files, he edits them together, balances all the audio levels, gets yelled at because somebody's really upset because we were doing them in stereo, and apparently that's bad, and now we do them in mono. Fixed that, and then actually several people messaged us about that. Actually, this is apparently a thing we would a bit of a podcast faux pas we were doing.
Dan, look, I hear because obviously it's sort of a slight bit in the fact that you do all the kind of research, editing, note taking. You put it online, you do all that stuff.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I do put up with you, so it feels.
It does balance out. You're right. That's true.
It feels even.
It does feel even. You're right. It does feel even. I struggle to put up with me, and I'm me. So
Exactly.
I think that's fair. So yeah, hello everyone. We're doing the Boiling Rock Part 2, and boy howdy, is this a satisfying conclusion? For those that don't remember the story, it's the second part to the thing that we saw last week, where they were trying to escape a prison. This week it gets way more complicated, and then they escape the prison. We get May showing up, we get Azula showing up. It's all kicking off. It eventually does lead to them escaping, but not after several of the characters have to confront elements of their past, particularly Zuko confronting May. I think it's good. It's a really good episode. It's a very satisfying conclusion to this story. And I got the satisfaction of last week knowing that Chris was predicting the ending of the episode, and actually supplying a better joke than Sokka, but then had to wait for this one to air to confirm that. So
yeah,
did you do a little fist pump in the air when we got to the end of the episode and Sokka got off the ship exactly as you predicted, and Aang said exactly as you predicted, "Where's the meat?" And then exactly as you predicted, Sokka made a dumb joke about not having meat but having something different.
No, I forgot I predicted that. I was just more distracted by has that guy who was escaped with them, the prisoner, has he done enough to justify I'm new, you just part of the gang, okay?
Yeah, I love that line. I do love that line. Also, did that guy forget his girlfriend and his best friend for the previous episode?
I suppose,
He's left them behind. Don't worry about it.
I don't know what else you could have done with him, but yeah.
Bit awkward.
I don't know. Like, I just found it. I was more distracted by that. I was like, oh, he's just staying. Okay, fine.
I would agree with that criticism.
But yeah, should we recap?
I just did.
Did you? Did you do the whole? Well, no, yeah, right. You did. You talked about the character. Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I take that back, Dan.
Done it.
Well recapped.
I recapped. It was a quick recap, indeed. But it's.
No, you're right. No.
Often I go too far, right. So I thought that was for me. That was quite an on point one.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I really liked it. It's a good second part. Azula. I didn't even think to predict Azula. Great shout. Mm-hmm. But loved that they tied it into the May stuff. Was worried about that last week, but they very much made use of May.
Yes, they did.
I liked what happened at the end with May. Yeah, I liked it all around, mate. Good episode. I like that they had the boldness for this two-parter to go, you know what? Let's not dick about with a B-plot. We don't need it. We don't need to see Aang and Toph training or something. Like, just there at the beginning, there at the end. It's going to be a prison break fun with Zuko and Aang. Real big fan of this episode, Daniel.
Yeah. I'm on board. I think it is such a satisfying conclusion to the episode that goes in front of it that it's kind of a hard one to sort of review on its own, because it really more so than with some of the other two-parters we've done. I've watched the second part and been like, oh, that's why I love this. Because a lot of the setup is in part one, a lot of the payoff is in part two, which is totally reasonable and totally the way to do it in a two-part episode, 100%. But I did remember, so I go into the Boiling Rock part one thinking, this is one of my favourites of this season. I love this two-parter. I've always loved this two-parter. And I watched it, was like, this is really good. I don't know if it's favourite this time round. There's a lot of really good episodes around this that we've really enjoyed. You know what I mean? Like, the invasion episodes were just so awesome and, like, all that stuff. And I was just like, maybe I don't like this episode as much as I thought. And then we just watched the second part, and I was like, oh, I do. I just hadn't had the satisfaction yet, the payoff. You know what I mean? That sort of like, that's what it's all about, right? Like, it's the rest of the story, I suppose. So yeah, and I was just watching that, like, so I said to Nadia, because we just watched that one together. Like, I couldn't take notes fast enough because just something awesome happened every, 20 seconds. And I just couldn't keep in track of all the things that were occurring in this. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this one too. I think it's fantastic. I think it really does build on everything set up in the first one and then pay it off in really satisfying ways. It is genuinely one of the best two-parters the show ever did, I think. And I really liked that it was this, kind of quite unique standalone story that also sort of added to the overall stuff.
No, I completely agree. I think there's moments of genuine tension. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of great character explorations. Big fan.
So you're our resident sort of you're the love guy. Like, for those who don't know, Chris loves a love story more than anything.
Love to love you, baby.
He's that's his thing. That's his jam. How do you think they've handled the Mei Zuko stuff? Because he did, as Nadia pointed out, basically dump her by text, which I hadn't really thought about. Because obviously you're engaged in the show and you're engaged in Zuko's gonna go teach Aang firebending or whatever. But she's right. He did just leave a note and then fuck off in the night, which is not good. I'm not going to defend that behaviour. He should have had the balls to tell her to her face, I think. But I understand the circumstances were tight around the invasion and him escaping and stuff. But anyway, pretty rough, right? So this episode has a really interesting sequence of events in it particularly with Mei and Zuko. And for those who do not remember, it involves her sort of showing up, confronting Zuko, being annoyed with him, but in the end, actually saving his life. And when someone says, well, what are you, why would you do that? Azula says that to her. She literally says she loves Zuko more than she fears Azula, which is a brilliant line, one of the best lines in the episode, and really characterizes May. I think stronger than anything we've had from her previously, if I'm being honest. And we got a fair bit of characterization for her in the beach episode. I think this is building on the stuff from the beach episode, but man, is it well done, for me at least here. But I'm very curious, Chris, as the guy that loves a love story, he always enjoys a romance plot.
Love to love you, baby.
Second time you've done that, I'm going to ignore it like I did the first time. Well, how did you feel about how this was like handled for you, and how it played out, and particularly like how they concluded it?
I don't know, because like, not only did he dump her by text, he then locked her in a prison cell.
Yep.
I think they've done just enough, because they've had the hearts to hearts about who he really is. She knows that he's wrestling with himself and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So over the course of all of it, they've done enough. Did they do enough in this episode to remind us of that? Probably not. Mm-hmm. But based on what they've done in the past, it does work. And that's just a kick-ass line, isn't it? When she's like, I love Zuko more than I hate you.
Fear you. I think it's fear. I think it's I love Zuko more than I fear you.
Yeah, no, I got that wrong. It's fear. But I think I really enjoyed it. I think they definitely do enough to make you believe it. I mean, and this episode does so much. Like, there's so much going on. There's,
my notes are so schizophrenic.
I can never say her name. Suki? Sushi? How do you say
Sushi? Suki.
Zuki fighting Tai Mei,
a bit of Unagi.
Tai Li. Is great, and it's I think there's not enough in this episode for May and Zuko, but they've done enough across the show.
Do you think? I think there's plenty for them in this episode. This is a whole confrontation.
No. There's enough scenes, as in enough to remind you, like, why she's doing it. Specifically, the justification of her turn on the end. It's a lot of it is historical.
Well, see, because I like what's communicated in the. You talked about the moment where he locks her in the cell, and I actually that's a really powerful moment of understanding that crosses between them. What in the world is that noise? Sorry, 1 second. On my end, apparently someone just started up a jet engine. No, they've gone.
It sounded like a giant cat was snoring.
Yeah, it's just a very loud car, I guess, went past my window or something. I don't know. It was excited. I didn't get a proper look. The return of Dave. Dave's back. He's at my end now instead of yours.
Dave.
It's Dave. He's come back,
Dave.
but he's now driving like a Formula One car or something. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure. Side note on Dave. I'm pretty sure Dave lived opposite my parents, and I could, like, in one text find out his actual name. It's so much
yeah, so this is for anyone who's only ever listened to Analysing Avatar. Dave's an old running gag from Stephen University when Chris, when we were recording, kept looking out of his window and seeing a guy parallel parking in a learner car, and we were very invested across the podcast in whether Dave passed his driving test or not. Anyway, I think the moment in the cell when they shut the door and they look at each other, and their eyes both go a bit glassy. I think that's the moment when she finally understands that what's happening here is bigger than their relationship, and that's why Zuko's had to make the choices he's made. Like, because he says it in the cell, right? He talks about, like, it's not that I don't still love you like I did. It's just that I'm thinking of the whole Fire Nation right now. It's more than us. It's bigger than us. Lives are actually on the line, unfortunately, and if I've got to make that choice for myself, it's for the good of many people, and it's what I believe in. It's me. I'm finally being me, and this is a character as well, as you rightly pointed out, has had exchanges with Zuko in previous episodes, recent episodes, where he's explained that he wasn't happy somehow with the situation in the Fire Nation when he was there with her. I've got everything I wanted, but why am I still not happy? I'm just living to please him. There's this moment, and I don't know how they do it, and maybe this is me imparting stuff onto the scene that's maybe not in the text. Maybe this is fansplaining. Maybe this is just me, like, reading into it too much. But that moment when he shuts the door and looks back through the little sort of slidey peephole thing, and they make eye contact, and it just really holds on it. I feel like there's a certain amount of understanding that passes there. I think she finally gets it, which is kind of ironic because the moment she finally gets it is the moment he's literally locking her in a cell. But it does seem... I felt that's the moment her thoughts on the situation shifted. But even then, I still think she disagrees with Zuko, but it's like she says at the end, I love him more than I fear you, and you were about to kill him, and I don't care what you think you're going to be able to do to me. And then we haven't even talked about the final sort of like twist on that story, which is that Ty Lee then betrays Azula too because, that she doesn't like the idea that Azula's going to punish, May for following her heart the way she did. Which is
funny because I feel like whenever we've seen Ty Lee recently, it's been with Azula. So right. I still liked that. And again, I think that was enough. Like, out of the two friends, I know who I'd go with if I had a choice.
Right. But also, we they were there reluctantly to start with, if you remember. Like,
that's true.
Ty Lee was at the circus and Azula, like, set the net on fire and was, like, made it clear she was going to come and see the show every day and, like, make it more dangerous until Ty Lee just agreed. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Ty Lee wasn't exactly there by choice to start with.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you raised a good point.
So yeah, I love all of that stuff. That stuff is like I think my favorite stuff in this episode, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because we didn't really get a lot of Suki and Sokka. We didn't really get a lot of Zuko and Sokka, so not as much as we got in the first part, which is absolutely fine because we got enough of it in the first part. That's cool. So yeah, I think I'd agree that I really like that stuff, especially the May and Zuko stuff. And I just like how well it all came together, like, and how logical the way it came together was. An element of like, and this is me thinking of nitpicks for the purpose of discussions. I think there's an element of they go to like start this big fight on the gondola thing. And you look at the clock, and you're like, "This episode's only got like 4 minutes left." Like this fight can't. It's not going to be that.
I watched it on my TV. And I couldn't see the timer, so like yeah, that's funny, but yeah, that didn't occur to me. It's interesting that's what happened.
And it isn't the most sort of epic fight, but it's still quite good visually. You sort of feel. I feel like there have been scenes before where all of those characters have shown more kind of strength than they show there, except of course Azula's jetpack powers, which were amazing.
Yeah, Nadia was like, I guess Azula's just Iron Man now, which I thought was a good point.
I really liked that.
Yeah, me too. I did like as well though that she doesn't seem to be able to quite literally fly, because she's able to blast up a little and then land on the next gondola, and she's able to blast herself up to the wire. But then she has to use the handcuffs to connect to the wire so she doesn't just start falling again and then push herself forward. So she can't, she's still a bit short of like being able to outright fly, but not far off, right?
No, I thought it was a really great use of power. Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to enjoy here, Daniel.
Yeah. Okay, one of the things I also really liked was... one, Sokka needs to learn to take his fucking helmet off straight away when he's got an insult to his friends. It's twice he's nearly been beaten around the head. But I really liked him and Hakoda's exchange, particularly their talk about Zuko, because the thing we were kind of slightly yearning for last week with Suki, we got here, and actually they proved us kind of wrong. I don't know if you'd be interested in elaborating on this, Chris, but like for me, when I was watching the scene, we talked last week, didn't we? We said like, how much detail can you really go in? Suki, we got to keep the action moving. Suki just kind of has to accept Zuko, right? But it turns out there is a way to do it. They just didn't want to do it twice, so they saved it for this as a nice moment between Sokka and Hakoda. And Sokka literally says, again, for the benefit of those who don't remember, I was skeptical at first, but he's really proven himself, and I wouldn't be here without him. And I really think he's on our side. And I would like you to trust him. And it's like that simple, and it works. And it's both a really great moment between the two characters for me, and like also the thing I wanted them to do last week with Suki. So yeah, and you were the one who actually brought up that point last week. So how did you feel about that as it played out?
Yeah, because I think my point of when you explain it so briefly, it sounds ridiculous, but actually, I really like that they played on. Well, look, you trust me, and I trust him. So you're gonna have to trust him as well. I like that they played on that. I thought that worked very well.
Yeah, because it wasn't like because we were like going, oh well, what are you got to explain the whole story, right? Because the joke, I think the joke we made was. He showed up and he seems to be on our side. He helped dance with the dragon, and we did a whole thing where we were like, to explain it, you'd have to sit Suki down and make her watch the last few episodes of the show on DVD. I think was the joke we made, but it turns out actually there's a way simpler way to do it, and that was it.
Yeah. No, I thought it was actually handled very, very well. Because it's playing on his trust of his son, which we know about and have equal faith in, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's just nice to see it in action, right? Like, Sokka just says, trust me, and he just goes along with it. It's just nice to see it demonstrated, right? Because it's one thing for a character to say, oh, of course, I trust my son, but to see it demonstrated, like, in his actions. No, at no point in this episode does he question the relationship with Zuko or the trust of Zuko. He trusts his son, and we see it demonstrated in his behavior rather than him just saying, "Oh, I trust my son," which is a way more effective way to communicate how a character feels about something, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I got a nitpick.
Oh, so wait, so do I need to grab my coat? Do I need snacks? Shall I get my bag?
Well, I don't know because I don't know if you will agree with it.
Nadia's learning to drive at the minute. Is she driving us to Nitpick Corner?
Yeah, she can. Yeah, but feel free to stop off somewhere else instead if you don't fancy it, because
I can get off
really
before we get to the corner itself. I could get off like a block before. Maybe I'm not as convinced it's a Nitpick Corner.
When the fight happens, I'd have almost rathered a line of "You stay here to check on the warden." Because I'm like, it feels weird to me that the dude who just fucking loves a fight isn't getting involved, and Sokka's dad, who's, also good at a fight, isn't getting involved. And it just feels like, well, no, you can't get involved because it's more emotional if it's these characters. And if you're going to do that, maybe don't have Sokka there then. Oh, no, I suppose that would be out of character. You got to have Sokka there. But yeah, I just found it weird that those two were just staying in the gondola instead of getting involved in those battles. I mean, the reality is, like, it would have made the fight worse. But yeah, it is awkward. No, which is why it's a full blown.
No, I do think I agree with it though. I think I'll come to Nitpick Corner with you because we're labeling it as a nitpick, and it's like a thing that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of the thing, which is the premise of Nitpick Corner. But I think I'm with you in Nitpick Corner. I might be a few steps down the road, but I do see it. I'm there. I'm in sight of Nitpick Corner. Maybe even visiting or passing through, because there's like one particular shot. The way it's framed really highlights it. It's like a shot of Suki and Hakoda in the gondola. Which last week I was like, gondola's a stupid name for that. I guess we'll call it a cable car. And this week they literally use the word gondola more times than I can count. The camera like kind of pulls out of the gondola, and like you see them in it, and then it sort of like is out, and it's the top, and it's the sort of the fight that's occurring on the roof, and it just really, the way those shots are edited together actually like actively highlights that problem. Because I think they might have got away with it if they'd been better at just like ignoring the two inside, like, and not really showing them to make you just kind of forget about them visually in the moment. That you might have gotten away with it a bit more, but it's the fact we see the shots of those two just stood twiddling their thumbs in the gondola that kind of really make that a problem. Because you're right, why aren't they helping? There's no reason for Hakoda as a capable guy. Seems like the most fucking capable of the bunch. Suki, like, 2 scenes ago, Sokka and Hakoda and the big guy are like scratching their heads as to how to grab the warden and get out of here, and Suki's like, ugh, I'll deal with this. And she leaps on everyone's heads, scales a wall, captures the warden. She achieves so much. She's so capable. So why is she now out of the fight?
Well, no, she's in the fight. She's just fighting Tai Lee.
Oh, it's not Suki. You're right. It's not Suki that's not in the fight. It's Hakoda and the big guy. My bad.
Yeah, it's the big guy and the big guy and Sokka's dad. Whose name I definitely.
I remembered.
won't get right.
I remembered that there was two people didn't involve themselves, but you're right. It's because Suki fights the Tai Li. You're absolutely right. My bad.
Although I do have a nitpick as well about Suki. Suki, like, she's jumping on heads, she's scaling walls. It's an amazing scene. It's kick-ass. Yes. And I just don't buy that the others got up there anywhere near as quick. I'm like, no, they're a lot further behind. It's very funny when they're all panting and like, wow, what a girl. Like, it's a great scene, but I'm like, come on now, like, they didn't get up there as quick.
Yeah, agree.
Like,
yeah.
They would still be getting through the crowd in the time that took.
Yeah, I'm also my favourite part of that whole section, other than just Suki being depicted as being awesome and capable. I do just a quick side note. Actually, I think this show is always very good at making the female characters like complete badasses in like a very natural way that I really enjoy. They're never like Mary Jane screaming for Spider-Man's help, and I love that about this show. But just but my favorite element of that is when they're like they need to start the initial riot that's happening there, and it's and they're like, okay, and then Hakoda like pushes that guy, and he's like, what did you do that for? That hurt my feelings. And he's like, don't you want to start a fight? And he's like, I'm trying to get control of my anger. So they ask the big guy for help. And he just picks a dude up, starts waving him around, going, hey, everyone, riot! That works!
So funny. That was a real laugh out loud moment.
It really was. It's just so stupid, but I love it so much. I can't express how dumb that is, but it is just the best thing.
It's a really solid joke.
Yeah, and then there's the guy in the crowd when they literally say, "Aren't you like trying to control your anger?" And he's just like, "Yeah, but riot." Like it's so good.
Yeah, I think he says something like, "Oh, screw controlling my anger." Like,
yeah. It was great.
It's very funny.
I really enjoyed that they made the warden reasonably capable in this episode, because we did see the warden's in the previous episode, but other than him being a bit menacing, he's not really huge. Like, he doesn't make a lot of decisions in front of us, at least. Whereas in this episode, I thought they did that whole idea of Chit-Sang. He's just like, you know what? I know you're not smart enough to come up with that plan. There's more to what's gone on here. Like, the fact he's observed that and identified that, I think is quite smart for him. That makes me feel like he's a more capable villain than I'd maybe assumed.
And he also tells them to cut the cart because it's the right tactical decision, even though it's bad for him. So yeah, they sort of he's quite an imposing figure, really. The warden, actually, like quite genuinely.
Yeah, because it would have been very easy to make him kind of like bumbling or bad at his job, and like Azula comes in and she's the one that's capable. And trust me, they do that too, because Azula comes in and is the one that's like, that guy's not the guy you're looking for, like, because she's got foreknowledge. She knows what's going on better than he does, But they don't make him so incompetent at any point that it's like it ruins or detracts from his effectiveness. And no. While we were since we skirted past Nitpick Corner a little while ago, Chris, can we pop back? Can we turn the car around? Go back there for just a second.
Why not?
The warden, when Azula shows up, is like, "Princess, I didn't know you were coming." All blustering and very, very clearly, respects the royals and feels very strongly about being respectful. He's very Fire Nation, basically. He's a royalist. When he's in the car and he yells, "Cut the cables," does he know Azula's on the roof?
Oh yeah, logically, yeah.
I was thinking about this.
Maybe he just assumes she's capable, though.
But a real stroke of luck for her and Ty Lee that the other gondola going the other way comes by, right? Like, if that hadn't happened, where were they going? Straight into the boiling water, right?
Yeah, true. Very true.
Because you cut the cable, you that's both of their escape route gone.
Yeah, because presumably, oh no, the other one was on a separate cable, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that cable would still be there, but you cut that cable. You can't know for sure she's gonna know that's happening and leap to that next one. Like, I don't know. I feel like they took a risk there with Azula and just cutting that cable.
Although I suppose, to be fair, they did just see the reason they know Azula's there is because they watched her fly over. So maybe they were like, she's probably covered.
Yeah, and Ty Lee kind of ran along that other cable, didn't she?
Oh yeah, well Ty Lee's not royalty. They don't give a fuck about Ty Lee.
That's fair. Yeah, fair. That's a very, very, very fair point. Yeah. So that was my little trip to Nitpick Corner. I do have a nitpick for myself though, because I pointed out something last week and made a joke about it, and it turns out they cover it in this episode. I was like, where was Hakoda before they brought him here? They just kept him in a holding camp for a couple of months. Like, I made jokes about like what were they doing with him before he came here. Turns out, yeah, that's exactly what happened. He was at another prison, and then they identified him as the leader, and then they transferred him to here. And it's exactly the same thing that happened to Suki, which is why she's not with the rest of the Kyoshi warriors. Makes perfect sense, and I'm an idiot.
It really does track. Like, when that happened, I was like, oh, like they did with Suki. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So all the other Kyoshi warriors are with the other freedom fighters in a less high-profile prison, but they've put the leaders in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was exactly the same as you. I was literally like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Fair enough. I take it back.
Yeah. I mean, what can I do? Like, that's me told. Good work, episode.
Nice one. Put Avatar 1, Dan 0.
Yeah, for sure. I did enjoy, just to throw another thing out there, I really enjoyed, can I have 10 more seconds to rough him up a bit? That whole bit. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, they're just punching the cushion.
But when they come in, he like leaps on Zuko and starts like trying to strangle him. Like, that's very funny.
Yeah. I thought that was good. I was expecting a joke about like he does it a bit too hard and Zuko's like, what the fuck are you doing? Which didn't come, but that's fine.
I really liked Sokka being a smooth talker. That was a good moment for me. Yeah. When he like sort of gets that guy to release every prisoner by just being smart and sort of being like, "Hey, you don't want to release him? That's cool. I just got to tell the warden that you are undermining him." The guy's like, "But it doesn't make any sense." He's like, "Well, the warden's being irrational. He's pissed off today. What do you want from me? I'm just the messenger." It's very well done. Very because sometimes lots of shows have done that scene, right? That exact scene where the guy tries to convince the person that the boss has said something different to what he has to get them to do a thing. And often it feels a bit cheap and doesn't really work. But here, it's the tag of, well, look, the warden's being irrational right now. He's not having a great day, to be honest with you. If I were you, I'd just do what he says. It's actually a very convincing line of dialogue that actually sells a bit that, generally speaking, I don't think works in other media when it's been done. But I like it here. It's a good. I mean, it's also a very common trope in these Prison Break stories, but it's particularly used effectively here, I think.
Yeah, because I suppose the problem with it is like no one ever checks, which they would.
Right. Yeah. But you believe here the way he phrases it that you wouldn't necessarily want to question the warden either.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you that it works much better here.
I also really liked actually the payoff to that, which is reasonably subtle later, which is when the warden goes, "Who let all these prisoners out?" In the background, that guy just sneaks away.
Yeah, I love it when Avatar does that kind of comedy, like noise as someone runs.
Yeah, because it's weird, isn't it? Sometimes Avatar funny. Is like a full-on cartoon, like out of nowhere. Like, it's generally speaking pretty grounded as it goes for a cartoon. But like every now and then they'll like do like a really overtly sort of Looney Tunes style moment, and that's one of them.
That's the thing, isn't it? And it's amazing how much it juggles that, because if you I think it's specifically evident in the or particularly maybe more so evident in the humour. Because, like, two jokes we've complimented here. One where the guy's like, "Oh no, where he just picks them up and goes, 'Riot!' and chucks them." that's like quite a almost modern Office New Girl style joke. And then the as the guy runs away is, like you say, like Looney Tunes or Scooby Doo, and both work. It never jars.
And they're like a minute apart.
Types. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's very impressive.
But a little bit of give him a little shout out. Jack DeSena, who voices Sokka, by the way, who we haven't really shouted out a huge amount on this show, because we talked about Zach Tyler Easton, who plays Aang, and I think we've talked about Mae Whitman, who does Katara, and we definitely talked about Dante Bosco, who does Zuko. But Jack DeSena, really a slightly unsung hero, I think, because Sokka's got a real balance to him, hasn't he? The same way we were just talking about those two styles of jokes being next to each other. You know, a character like Sokka that's like joke, but then has these heartfelt moments every now and then and like has to convince people of things. This episode particularly is a really strong one for him. He's great all the time, obviously, but we might as well shout him out on an episode where he's particularly good. The conversation with his dad I highlighted earlier, and the moment where he's convincing that guy, it's just a really great voice performance. I just think he's very good at what he's doing here, and I think he this is one of those like bad memes of this guy understood the assignment, so that thing, because he really fucking nails it, right? Like I'm not crazy, right? This is a good one for him.
No, he understands the assignment, like you say, the tones he is juggling, and the way he's able to juggle them all in the hands of a lesser actor. Sokka's an uneven character.
Yes.
But because in the hands of this actor, he's not.
Yeah, I would agree. Very good. So yeah, I just want to give him a little shout out because I just we don't really talk about the voice acting a lot in this show, and we should. They're all very good. Is there any bad voice acting in this show? I don't think there is.
What, any bad voice acting?
Or not even bad, but like, is there anyone in the show that's just like fine? I don't think so. I think everyone's like standout.
Well,
I guess
yeah. I mean, there's
some of the characters of the week, I
you...
suppose, are probably a bit bland. Yeah. Maybe sometimes.
That's what I was going to say. You'd probably find some sort of sub characters, but all the main peeps are killing it.
Even down to like that guy that voiced Chit Sang in this episode, who like is obviously a very it's a small part, doesn't do a lot, but like very well cast, yelling riot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was. I still think that was so funny, and I'm so fascinated by where they go with that character now.
I'm new. So good. Love it. Are there any other notes? Or is there before I get to any other notes in my notes, is there anything else? There was one other thing I wanted to discuss, but like, any notes from yourself?
No, not at all. No.
So I wanted to briefly talk about Sokka and Zuko working together. The gondola fight, I really enjoyed Sokka using the sword in combination with Zuko's firebending. It's not like they don't make it a plot point that those two are like struggling to work together and by the end they're in sync or something like that. But I mean, that is what happens. By the end of this episode, those two are a pretty good team, it seems. And I like
so glad it wasn't a plot point though, aren't you? Like, didn't need to be. We've already got enough of that with Aang and Zuko and Katara. Yeah.
But
great move.
10 points to the creative team for one, making Sokka, who's not normally the front of the fight, so sort of capable. I mean, I know we did that episode this season, Sokka's Master, where he learnt how to sword. Well, he learnt how to sword fight in a day or whatever they did in that episode.
Winds me up.
See our episode on that if you want more thoughts on that. But yeah, seeing him here in combination with Zuko using his sword to like catch out Azula and like put her off balance, which made it easier for Zuko to sort of stay toe to toe with her. Just both a great creative visual fighting choice, but also a really nice subtle character thing as well. Like, we're not going to make a big point of it, but check these two characters out now. They're very much on the same page. That's just good writing.
Yeah, very good writing. And like you say, just real subtle use of like the sword training and stuff like that.
Yes, absolutely. Other notes, let's see. Oh yeah, at the very beginning, Sokka just like being like trying to see his dad, standing so poorly out of formation with the rest of the soldiers, making himself really obvious. Thought that was funny. Enjoyed
I
that.
just thought that funny, but also one of those kind of like, how is no one noticing this?
Yeah. Right. He's so overt. It's great. Obviously, we hinted at it, but the I didn't bring back meat as such. I brought back the meat of friendship and fatherhood, which is almost as bad. No, I'd say it's worse. I think Chris's joke of sushi instead of Suki last week is better than the meat of friendship and fatherhood. I just want to put that out there.
I do. I know it was my joke. I know I'm biased, but I think it was better.
Yeah, I agree. Your joke was better. At the beginning of the episode, when Hakota trips the warden, did you not think that was a dumb thing to do?
Yeah, it was pretty dumb. Because
I get like not giving him eye contact and being like, make me or whatever, like being, sort of asserting yourself as not being going to be a complete pushover. But tripping the guy seemed like a way to get yourself thrown in, like.
And I was surprised the warden didn't kick off more at it.
Right, that's
Again,
what I wrote.
that
Hakota, lucky the guy didn't punish him for tripping him more than he did. Like I've seen my notes.
Yeah, completely. But then I think, again, that shows the warden as being quite a clever guy. He's not so hot-headed. But then again, we saw him being fairly hot-headed the episode before, so maybe that's a contradiction. Don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, yeah, I was a bit torn on that one. It's a fun moment, and he's all like flustered and sort of Snapes his way out of there, like, just go away, and then walks off. That's what happens when Snape gets embarrassed in Harry Potter. Take a shot. Last week we went without doing either reference. This week I'm going to try and do both. Figure out Doctor Who later. Unless you count that.
We did reference Doctor Who last week.
Did we?
Yeah, I brought up the whole "what would the Doctor do," and you had to take a drink because it left such a bad taste in your mouth.
Oh my god, yeah, we did. God damn it. Alright, yeah, there you go. Anyway, so there you go. Across the two-parter, we've referenced both. There you go.
Exactly.
Everyone wins. One of the little
two-parter after all.
What was that, sorry?
I just said it is a two-parter after all. That makes complete sense to do it that way.
We've done it right. You don't have to do everything in both parts. One thing I did make a note of, which I thought was funny, was there was a certain point in the episode where I wrote down the note, all Ty Lee has said so far is, ooh. Because there was a point in the episode when that is all she had said. When Azula had said something to her about, like, why are they letting the other gondola go or something like that. Like, that's all she'd said. But apparently, well, not apparently, I also added in my notes at the end, I take it back, she has now also said, come on, let's get out of here.
That was such a kick-ass moment, though. Because is that probably the most sort of beaten we've ever seen Azula? Like, when she, like, takes her out and she's on the floor unable to move. Like, we've not seen Azula in that position before. Right. And again, they do such good writing on this show. Because it's not that she's more powerful than Azula, it's literally the surprise. If Azula knew that was coming, that wouldn't have happened. They've made Azula such a force. Like, even when she's beaten, you go, oh, well, yeah, but to be fair, she's surprised. Like, you know why she got beaten.
Yeah, 100%. They managed to get one over on the character without making the character seem weaker. And that's just clever writing. Agreed. 100% agreed. It's great. Really good stuff.
Completely.
Time to say that thing you say, Chris?
Let's triv it up!
Let's triv it up. I'm going to give you some trivia. So, we're at trivia time. I'm not going to stop, by the way. We're this close to the end. I'm just going to keep saying that, and then I'm going to stop. I think I will retire. I'm going to give you some trivia before we get to the next series of Rewind reviews.
I'm not sure, because I'm not sure I'm going to retire Triv it up.
I'm happy with Triv it up. I'm getting tired of I'm going to give you some trivia, which I never thought I'd say, but I think I'm
I like it still.
Anyway, I said I'd milk it. I've milked it fairly badly, and I think I think it's running out of milk. So anyway,
I think there's plenty of milk in that cow, Dan.
Yep,
personally.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how I feel. Or it's one of those things that I always tease I'm going to stop doing, but never do. This is the first and only episode where one type of bending is featured. So in all the other episodes, multiple types of bending are featured, obviously not including the opening sequence, which obviously displays all three. So yeah, there's 5 bending in this episode.
So every other episode has 2 or more bends in them?
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great trivia. Well done, trivia people. That's awesome.
Because I wouldn't have thought to even double check that.
No.
I'm assuming someone's gone through and done the math to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Normally, when Azula bends her blue fire, it sort of cools off and turns orange after a few seconds before it then, fades away. Whether she's gotten stronger since last time we saw her, or she was particularly enraged, it stayed blue the entire time and retained its blue colour, even as it burned out in this episode, which I thought was fun.
That's fun.
The previously on Avatar section of this episode is apparently the longest of all episodes in seasons 2 and 3.
But, that's interesting, because obviously we didn't see it previously on because it's just smack bang in the middle of...
Well, I did play the previously on because I was watching it with Nadia and she hadn't had a chance to sit down and watch part 1 with me yesterday, so she watched the previously on.
Was there a previously on then? Because obviously it's just... But it's
yeah,
the
Netflix,
two episodes
Netflix just jumps into it, doesn't it?
Yeah, because Netflix is just playing it as like it would have been paused specifically for part... Oh, did you watch both parts with her?
No. I'm
So
not
I don't
watching,
know how
I'm
you'd
not
seen
watching
it
on
previously.
Netflix anymore, am I?
Oh, you're not watching on Netflix anymore, right? Oh, of course, yeah, you quit Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, I
okay,
cancelled my Netflix.
cool.
So I'm cracking out my old DVD set. I love my old DVD set. It's got such beautiful artwork on it.
Nice. Far more logical way of doing it. The Netflix 2-part thing is utter madness. There was a point where I was like, am I going to get a hint? Have I gone into the next episode? Like, I really struggled to know that I was at the end of the first part.
Literally makes them one episode, right? It's like a 42-minute file. You've got to sort of wait till the title card comes up. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, sorry. And
then there's been occasions before where they haven't put a title card up. So, yeah, it can get very confusing.
Yeah. Well, get the DVDs, mate. They're quite good.
I'm not going to do that.
No.
I'm sure they are.
To be fair, the Netflix is the remastered versions, the ones that have been upscaled. Like the DVDs are older and fuzzier, but they're a really nice set. It's a really good set.
Is it on Blu-ray? Because I imagine they could make a bit.
If it is on Blu-ray, that's a more recent thing. The Blu-ray I don't believe existed when I bought the DVDs, but I've owned those DVDs for a very long time.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying you should own the Blu-ray. I'm just saying, is it on Blu-ray?
I think it is, and I think that's why Netflix got a higher quality version. I think the version on Netflix comes from the Blu-ray special they did a couple years back. Here you go.
Right.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, the complete series, 15th anniversary special edition Blu-ray. It's £50. It's got all 3 seasons, and that's some pretty cool artwork. And it's got looks like it comes with like a little booklet.
Check it out.
Yeah. It's pricey, but yeah, probably worth it. So
Ooh,
I think I remember there being some controversy when the Netflix put Avatar back on in lockdown in summer. When they initially did it, they just re-uploaded the versions they'd had years and years ago, which were the ones that are on the DVD. And everyone was like, oh, the Blu-ray ones exist now. Why wouldn't you upgrade? And then Netflix got so much flack they did.
That's good. I just looked it up and went, oh, that artwork is a bit different. Took me genuinely a couple of seconds to realise that was the James Cameron Avatar artwork for his Avatar movie that I was looking at.
That's great. No, the artwork that I've got for my DVDs is great. I can't find it. I'll send it to you at some point, Chris. It's pretty cool. It's kind of like these really nice painted ones. I'm trying to I actually can't find the DVD box set.
Let's look at this. I mean, this can't be interesting. But...
I found a picture of them. I'll send you them.
I just looked it up, but just DVD. Oh, is it the one with Zuko in the background and?
Yeah, the 3 in the front. That's the season 1 one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the season 2 one is Aang's the one in the background, and he's all glowy. It's rare. They're great. They're really good. The artwork on those is absolutely awesome.
Nice.
Anyway, finish the trivia. Got some more. I think. Have I got more? Do I have more? How much did I read out? Oh yeah, this is the. Wait, what? Oh, this is the only time in which Ty Lee is shown to be unsuccessful at chi blocking her opponent because they avoided her attacks. Suki avoids her attacks. So there you go.
Nice.
This is the only episode with no credit for D. Bradley Baker, who usually voices Momo and Appa, but neither appear, so he doesn't get to do any of his patented voice work here. He's actually great because he does all the Clone Trooper voices apparently. So he's been like the voice of like all the characters in like the Bad Batch and stuff. That man is so bloody talented. It's ridiculous.
That's one of those. I don't know exactly how it works, but that's one of those. Put him on the credits anyway. Let him get paid for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he doesn't appear, but he's done so much work for the show. Like, who cares, right? Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, give him some money. Always give him money.
Yeah.
So apparently, the writer of the book Shadow of Kyoshi, F.C. Yi, had intended to include a scene that linked Kyoshi's dust stepping technique to Suki's head running technique that she utilizes in this episode, so to show that the skill is an evolution of dust stepping. But apparently, the scene was cut. That would have been a nice little bit of the two things linking. But there you go. Wasn't done.
Yeah,
so
I like that.
Chris, we have a question from a listener.
Yes.
Justin McJabard. We've teased this question, I think, in a previous episode, but it's time to actually answer it. Based on elements of the world that Chris has seen up to this point, what would our ideal lives look like were we to exist in the world of Avatar? So location, bending ability, etc. And what is the logline of your Avatar life? So I have a simple answer for this. The logline of my Avatar life would be watch a man lead a simple life while the world falls apart around him, which isn't just the logline for my Avatar life, but the logline for my real life. I suspect the version of me in Avatar is so boring and me that not a bender in any way, probably lives in the Earth Kingdom though, and has a podcast about how the Fire Nation are ruining everything.
And I don't know what you're thinking, like, oh, that would upset the Fire Nation, like, that would make him a target. Nobody would be listening to the podcast.
Yeah, right, exactly, correct.
Just have one. I agree with you. I think like you, I'd just be trying to stay out of trouble would be my main thing. It's difficult because I'm a real water guy. I love swimming. I love having a little paddling around, a little paddle around and stuff. I really do like water. I'd rather be too cold than too hot. But something about the Earth tribe just feels so logical, doesn't it? Just feels so like, I don't know. I guess it's easier to make a house if you can bend Earth. I don't know. Like it seems a more comfortable life than being really hot for fire or being cold for water. So yeah.
I guess in reality, like if you were to say like what's the sort of the fun fantasy version, because I guess I've answered that question in quite a boring way. That's the realistic answer. I suppose the thing answer would be, I'd be like a crazy skilled earthbender running off and helping people town to town.
Would you choose earthbending?
But that's not the reality, is it?
But would you choose earthbending? Because so let's make it that. What would you choose? Because then airbending, you can fly. Who doesn't?
Yeah,
want to fly?
I know. But we've had this conversation. Like, if we're going by like the rules of this world, where like it's to do with your personality and your stuff. We've talked about how I relate to like Toph, and the earthbending thing of like that being stubborn and like being like very headstrong. Like I'm Earth Nation through and through. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of I don't think I have any wiggle room. You do, because when we talked about what, like, because someone asked the question, I think maybe last season, what element would you be? We very quickly identified me as being Earth, and we found you were a bit more in the middle, because I'm not angry enough to be fire, I'm not peaceful enough to be air, so really my only choices are water and earth, and I think I'm more of an earth guy than a water guy. So, because of that sort of stubbornness that comes built into earthbending. I don't know. Where do you think you land?
Well, I'm not thinking about it personality because I can't remember the exact tropes of each kind of thing.
So if we're just going off fantasy, what you could choose one of them. I guess firebending seems the most certainly the most useful in terms of like protecting yourself. from dangers.
I don't know. Earth seems pretty useful for that, though.
Yeah, that's true. And Earth is also practical in that I could always just make myself a home.
Yeah, I think you got to go Earth for that for the practical reasons. I wouldn't go as much as I'm a bit of a water baby. I wouldn't go water because I don't like fish. You got to live in the cold. So I'm thinking, as I like fish, but I don't like to eat fish, and it seems like you got to eat a lot of fish in the water tribes. So I think I'd go Earth. Just it seems the most practical. Yeah, so Earth, and my log line would be similar to yours. It would be just keeping out of trouble.
Watch a man just keep out of trouble. Lead a peaceful, quiet life. When the Fire Nation shows up, he puts on a Fire Nation shirt and goes, "Hey guys! I'm okay with this, because I don't want you to murder me. I'm a coward." Because that is the reality, isn't it? Like, I am a full-on coward. Like, I would absolutely just, like, bend straight over. Like, I don't want any trouble. Just let me live.
That's a great log line. I'd absolutely bend straight over.
Sad but true.
Yeah.
Anyway.
No, there we go. Just a couple of. Bet that wasn't the answer you were expecting. Just a couple of earth-bending cowards.
That's the log line. We're in the same show, and the log line is just a couple of earth-bending cowards.
Also, the name of the podcast.
Yeah. Good. Excellent question, Justin. Thank you so much for supplying that. I think I may temporarily sort of say, because we're getting to the end of the series now, I think these episodes, like, as we barrel towards the end, I think it's going to be important that we focus on, like, talking about the show and not doing too much sort of, like, stuff aside that. So I think we'll temporarily put questions to the side. But we'll build up questions for when we do the next series of Korra, or well, I assume we're going to get to Korra, and then I assume as well, like, we can use some questions on Rewind reviews. So do still send us questions, but we're probably not going to get to them through the next handful of episodes of Avatar, because I think we're going to want the extra podcast time if we have it to talk about, presumably big finale, game-changing, all that, the usual stuff you expect from a big epic finale. So yeah, I think that sound fair, Chris? Haven't really discussed
that
it.
Sound fair, Dan.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely fair.
Yeah, perfect, great. So do still think about sending us questions, and for those of you who don't know, you can send us a question like Justin did by heading over to our Patreon, patreon.com/nothingbutstatic, in order to you join up. It's tiered. You can give us any amount that you see fit, from $1 up to, I don't know, some silly amount that no one should ever give us. And what we always say, I borrowed this from Weekly Planet, but whatever amount of money would fall out of your pocket and you wouldn't notice it was gone, that's the best amount to give if you wish to give something. The other answer is, of course, if you don't want to give us anything, then that's also very good and fine. Please do that too. I always find it really interesting when people stop supporting and they send us like a message like, "I'm so sorry, I just can't afford it." I'm like, are you kidding? Like, it's amazing you ever even looked at this page, let alone did it. So
yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. You're very nice people. But yeah, if you'd like to support us, you can do it that way. It helps pay some of the bills, which is nice. We're always breaking even. We've been balanced on breaking even for a little while, and it's funny, every month now I look and I'm like, you lost a patron, but you gained a patron. I'm like, oh. And it's usually around the same amount. So we've floated around the same amount despite our patrons going up and down. It's been nice. Every month I check it and I'm like, oh, that balanced out. Lovely. So we are breaking even at present, and if you're thinking of supporting us, though, I would appreciate it. Like, if if you're thinking about it, go do it. Even though I'm saying we're breaking even, because it might be that this month someone's going to stop supporting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You might be able to step in where someone else has decided to step away, which is helpful. So yeah, we're covering costs right now, which is lovely, and we appreciate every one of you that does that, and that's why we allow you guys to ask questions, and we try to do as much as we can. We've not been able to put out much extra content. We did do Nothing But Collapse. That's on there as exclusive content. It's a podcast.
And there's some other ideas, just with we've had. It turns out things like committing to watching a season of Lost roughly every month is time consuming.
Yeah, because we do need to do the second episode of Nothing But Claps where I asked Chris the questions he asked me that were clap based. So yeah, it was a series of questions all related to the concept of clapping. It's the hardest you've clapped, like the longest you've clapped, all that stuff. Questions about the clap, which is gonorrhea. So that's that. It's a slang term for that. So it's a really fun podcast, and it's available exclusively for our patrons. We also put out episodes of this and Rewind reviews a week early. So if you want to go support us financially, you can do that, and you get those benefits. But the other things you can do, if you're not interested in throwing money at us, which is again a very reasonable stance to take, then you can support us by liking and subscribing and all that jazz on the various platforms. So whatever you're listening to us on, it'll probably have some sort of review mechanic. Just hit the button that tells it you enjoyed it, and then that makes it share it with more people. That's a really nice simple thing you can do that's a big help. Or you can tell a friend, or even not even better. Well, yeah, even better. Just keep listening. Just do that. That's also good.
That's very handy. Thank you.
Like that too.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to contact us, anything in this podcast I've said that was so stupid you feel the need to correct me, which is mostly what comments we get these days, feel free to do your bit for that too. You can get us mail at nothingbutstatic.co.uk, or you can head over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/nothingbutstaticuk, in order to give us comments there. You can also get us on Twitter. I'm at Dan Doolan, and Chris is at C Billingham with 2 M's. A Twitter handle he would probably have changed many years ago if it weren't for the fact that we've got 10 years worth of podcasts where I say very specifically that's his Twitter handle.
Yep. Not a fan at all of my Twitter handle. Have no choice but to keep it.
Yeah, or you could just change it and then people would just find you.
But am I going to use it if I change it?
No, it's not going to increase your. No, it's not going to increase your use of it. Oh, that's the other thing. Actually, if you are a patron, you get access to the Discord too, which people sometimes message us about.
Yes, which is a lovely, lovely community.
Yeah, but our little community of fellow nerds, which is lovely. Really nice to do. We talk about video games and TV shows and all sorts of stuff. It's great. It's a really good little community. Jazz. There is a politics thread, but it's been quiet. I think we've.
Yeah. We're recording this late Feb. There are no words.
Yes, late Feb 2022. You probably wouldn't have to look very far to find out why. Everyone's decided maybe discussing politics right now isn't a great idea. Anyway, fun times indeed. I've got my Russia flag T-shirt in the cupboard waiting.
As said, Dad is a coward that will just switch to anyone if need be.
Oh, my allegiance will switch on a dime if you threaten me. I've made no bones about it, Chris. I'm a coward. That's fine. Hail whoever. That's what should be on my T-shirt. Just I can wear it for whoever does it. Like if any dictator rises and comes to the UK, rises with the UK, I just hail whoever. I'm covered. my new lord and master. Welcome.
Wow. Learning a lot about Dan's psyche.
The question is, how legit is that? We don't know. Am I exaggerating for a joke, or am I that much of a coward? You'll never know.
Nah, you're too righteous to be a coward when it will actually come to it.
I know, that's the worst thing, isn't it? I'm probably gonna get myself killed, right?
Yeah.
You're talking to the person that genuinely contemplated buying that shirt of Putin wearing makeup and wearing it when I went through Moscow airport to get to Japan.
You're talking about because even in the Avatar fantasy, you still had a podcast ranting about the Fire Nation.
Right, I did. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, as much as I find that joke amusing of the guy that just bends over, I don't think it's actually very practically me. But maybe it will be with life on the line. I don't know. Maybe. I don't want to die.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
You know.
That's true. Yeah, So
who knows? Who knows, Chris, when actually threatened what I'll do? We'll find out one day, I'm sure, the way this is going.
Yeah, I mean, eventually my patience has got to run out at some point, hasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, exactly. And once Chris threatens my life, I think we'll find out how quickly I'm going to stand by my principles. Do we keep doing the podcast or do I let him go? Anyway, thank you all very much for listening. It's a pleasure as always. Exciting times ahead. We're getting close, Chris.
Yeah, we're very close. Yeah.
We've only really got two more episodes, and then we're at the finale.
Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy times.
Very exciting. So thanks everyone for listening. I've been Dan Doolan.
I've been Chris Billingham.
And we'll see you in a week's time when we sit down to discuss the Southern Raiders.
That's all for just a couple of earth-bending cowards.
And another thing about the Fire Nation. Bye.
At the end of the day, you play with fire, you get burnt.
Don't hurt me. And I hate the Fire Nation. They do this and they do this, and then you hear a bang in the background. Fire Nation, put the microphone down. I'm so sorry, don't hurt me.
Bye.
Bye.
Sweet.